to appreciate every one of us for being here this morning. And we are starting this seminar, Big Dutchman, Poultry and Pig Seminar 2022 at Abeokuta now. And I would like to invite Mrs. Blessing Halaude to give us the opening prayer.
Let us pray. In Jesus' name. Our Lord and our Father, we want to thank you for every life here present this morning and those even on the way, the organizers and all. We are grateful for your faithfulness. We are grateful for your love. We are grateful for your kindness. We are grateful for your preserving power over us at a time like this in the industry and the economy of this nation. For everything, Lord, we return all glory, praise, and adoration unto you in Jesus' mighty name. We commit the session of today unto your hand. We pray thee, Lord, make it a valuable time indeed in Jesus' mighty name. Help facilitate us and help us at the receiving end. At the end of everything today, when we look back, may we have every cause to give you praise and glory in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, faithful Father. Glory and honor be to your holy name. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen. Thank you very much, Ma. Please help me put your hands together for Mrs. Blessing Alaude. I will quickly like to do an introduction and also recognize some of the people that we have here so that you can know who we are. First of all, Big Dutchman Nigeria is a German company, and we are into the manufacturing and sales of poultry and pig equipment. Our headquarters is in Vechta, Germany, and we have an office in Nigeria that is fully owned by Big Dutchman Germany. It is not an agent. It is a direct subsidiary of Big Dutchman Germany. And today we are here to organize this seminar to educate farmers, particularly at a time like this in our country that everything or most of the production parameters seems to be on the high side. So how do we run our businesses, the farm, in a profitable way? And that is why we are here. This morning, I have with me some of my colleagues. I have Bolu Fatumishe, is our national sales manager for the poultry growing business. The poultry growing is the poultry, the broiler and the broiler breeders. Everything that has to do with the broiler production and broiler breeders is the one in charge. Please, Bolu, stand up for recognition. I also have with me here Moses Makoju. Is our national sales manager for the piggery business. Everything that has to do with the pig production equipment is the one in charge, is the one standing over there. And I also have with me our project manager and the guy in charge of the solar equipment. His name is Adeoye Adeniba, is the one standing right there. And I also have with me my colleague Olushola Awoshola. He is our regional sales manager for the north and the eastern part of Nigeria. Olushola is the one over there. And I also have Babajide Omodolapo. He is our regional is someone that you know very well. He is a veteran in the industry, and he's also our boss in the industry. Please help me welcome and appreciate Dr. Dutchman. Genetics, France. The choice genetics is a breeding company, particularly for the pig business. And Mr. Toby Olatunde is responsible for the West Africa and some Central and Eastern Europe. And he is right here. He is the genetics. Here, appreciate Mrs. Blessing nowadays, the MD of Kenya, and the immediate past chairman of Kano, Ogun State. So please help me appreciate our welcome to him. I also would like to appreciate Mr. Yinkalawa, who is our father in the industry, and you cannot be here not recognizing him. Please help me appreciate him. And also our boss. We are going right away to the program of events. Please join me as I welcome Thomas Ogudio, who is ably represented in this meeting today. He is represented by my colleague, Bolu Fatumishe. He is going to be taking the MD's address. Our MD, if you were to be here, you will know that he's a full Nigerian MD. Unfortunately, he's not here this morning. But the fact that he's not here, that does not mean he's not with us here. He is going to be represented, and his welcome address will be taken by my colleague, Bolu. Please help me welcome Bolu.
Great farmers, great nation. Great farmers, great nation. Great farmers, great nation. Thank you very much. I think to start with, we are in Nigeria and we should never expect power lose. Is that correct? Okay, I think they are trying to fix that. I wouldn't want that to distract us. I'd like to say a very big Dutchman welcome to everybody here. On behalf of our managing director, Thomas Okudiran, is unavoidably absent here today, but with a lot of activities going on here and there, so we couldn't meet up for this event. But that being said, I'd like to really welcome everybody here. Of course, to many of us around this axis, we've known Big Dutchman for a while. We've been together, most especially the PAN board. You are always there for us, and Big Dutchman like to say a big thank you for the support we are always receiving from PAN. Of course, it is never been news that we've been around since 1938, and as of right now, we are 86 years old in over 80 countries around the world. And of course, Big Dutchman is known for quality and durability, long-lasting equipment. But to crown it all, for our event this year, we have also decided to partner with a brother, a colleague of ours from Choice Genetic, which he will also be coming up, of course, on the podium today to dish out some information from the piggery aspect. Okay, but I really like to say that it is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome us once again, for those of us that are present here, to attend this seminar. True that it is no doubt that modern livestock farming is a solution in every challenging period. And of course, one of those challenging periods we are referring to is right now. I don't like to ask for challenges. We are farmers here, and we all have our different challenges. Of course, majorly, as we speak right now, feed and feed. Throughout last week, myself and my MD, we are going through Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and there's just this common issue in all of these countries. In the West African Cape Coast, it has to do with feed, and feed. But we Nigerians happen to actually be the giant of Africa, but now I think probably giant of West Africa. But they still at this point expect us to supply them with some DOC and even feeds. None of these things are available. You could see just 100 DOC being shipped from one country to the other. This is what is currently happening in that practice. But for us here, at least we can easily pick DOC. But these guys are doing very expensive on a daily basis based on the OPEC. So, thank you once again. I offer my regards to all the poultry farmers, volunteers, stakeholders, to everyone joining us through this live streaming platform as well, because we have decided to push this to the social media, everybody to be able to connect with us. Quickly, I don't want to waste our time, but I'd like to quickly tell us, thank you to Mr. Koyade. He has already told us what Big Dutchman, the different BUs we have here and how they operate in BU egg, BU poultry growing, and of course BU pig. So these are the three major departments of business unit for Big Dutchman. But as of right now, we are also giving a turnkey project, meaning we can set up the poultry village for anyone that is interested. Then we hand over the keys, okay? Because we have a supporting partner to give us the buildings, the hatchery, the processing plant, whatsoever, like the value chain. We have it in Big Dutchman as of today. So quickly, I'd like to tell you what we do, how we do what we do, and also why we do what we do. The first one is Big Dutchman has planned and realized livestock feeding system and has agreement for modern poultry since 1938. So what is going on right now has been planned way back. It's not just coming up today. It's a family business all the way from it is historical, and I don't want to go into that history today. So I'd like us to concentrate, but whatever big you are seeing with Big Dutchman today has been planned way back from 1938. Probably as the seminar moves on, we can display some old pictures of how Big Dutchman actually started. So why we do what we do, it's very simple. We are committed and we decided to start undisputed to support, develop and lift Nigerian poultry production to greater height under securing production of high quality poultry meat and eggs. Quality poultry meat and eggs, I'm sure our facilitator here, by the time they come up here, they're going to be giving us very vital information that many of us consider irrelevant, but they are the key. I mean, we are so lucky to have Dr. Dutchman here that will be talking to us, and also Mr. Tommy is also here, and our one and only Dr. Dolapo. they will be telling us. So they will be telling us how to go about things we should know, and lastly, how we do what we do. If you are to work economically, of course, the simple solution is automation. Cost-conscious management are essential prerequisites. Automation and cost-conscious management. This is very key. We don't sometimes bother to look. Like I said, our facilitator will be giving us this information. They don't come so cheap, but I'm sure by the time they go through this, many of us will reconsider what we are currently doing in our farms. So, Big Dutchman Nigeria, like Temitokwe said, we are in Nigeria, and our office is in Lagos. Though we can be anywhere in the nation, you just give us a call and we are right there. After sales service, it's one thing that Big Dutchman Nigeria is strongly working towards, because I don't want to mention, but when you make contact to some companies all around the world, yes, they can supply the equipment, but the after sales, the service you get after getting the equipment is what matters. The services we get after this equipment are what matters. I don't want to mention names. Like I said, there are many farms today that they are calling Big Dutchman to see if we can help and service, because the manufacturers or the sales company are not available, or for them to be here, these companies will be spending money to lift their hotels and hall. Or Big Dutchman, we are on ground. So feel free, enjoy the wonderful these few hours. I'm sure you will enjoy. But before I leave here, and we value time so much. Timing so much. We decided to start an hour later so as to spread the information around and not to match years. But somebody was actually here at exactly 11 a.m. to start this event, and we really need to appreciate that person. For Mr. Sulaiman David from Transnational. Thank you very much for coming by 11 a.m. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bolu. And we want to appreciate every one of us lecture for today. And that is going to be taken by no other person. The topic is improving profitability in livestock farming, poultry and pig. And is someone, I have said it in the time past, that if this man should put a sound in the vial of vaccine or in the sachet of any drug, and say, go and use it as an antibiotics on your farm, that I will take it, I will not think, I will use it just like that. So this morning, I want us to open our hearts, our mind, and let's receive what this man has to share with us this morning. Please to welcome Dr. Dotun Oladele.
great farmers. That I'm really privileged to be in your midst this morning. It's been a long time. I met some people here, and I want to say that in all things, we should thank God for sparing our lives. Nigeria as a country is passing through a lot of challenges, and so is the industry. Today, by the grace of God, I will be sharing some very strong facts with us. And I want us to be very, very attentive. I'm speaking on improving profitability in livestock farming. Let me just quickly go through the outline so that we'll have an idea of some of the things we'll be discussing today. We'll look at the introduction in poultry business. We'll look at the issue of records and measuring performance against standards. We also look at important facts for profit in look like for the industry. Then the high cost of day-old chicks. As at this morning, I was communicating with somebody from one of the hatcheries in Jos. He said the day-old chick broiler in Jos, as at this week, is 630 naira. Please, how much do you buy day-old broiler here in Southwest? 50, 680. Wonderful. I remember about a month ago, it was around 700 in Jos. So it's a big problem, actually. And when you are buying the old chicks at such a high rate, and the quality itself also have increasing cost of vaccines and disinfectants, and then there are concerns on quality of inputs, premixes, methionine. I remember some months ago, or let me say some years ago rather, in Ijebu, a particular farmer had a challenge and their production kept nosediving. Then I began to investigate. And I asked the managing director a question. I said, please, can you give me a sample of your premix? Somebody ran to the feed mill. They brought the premix. I just tried to perceive it. I found out that it was not having any kind of aroma. Hello? What do I mean? You know, if you buy just ordinary multivitamin, if you open the liquid, there is a special aroma that hits your nostrils. This premix was not having anything in my head. The moment I he expressed some level of fear, the MD, and I said, "This is not premix." The guy said no, that they even brought fresh one today. They brought the fresh one. I perceived it again and I shook my head. Then he was confused. And I went to the owner of the farm, the chairman. I said, sir, You people have been complaining about your drop in production. Yes, production has been nosediving. In one of honestly, you are not in business. You are just struggling. Are we communicating? Today, at least if you want to break even, that is to say, the number of eggs that come out and the feed you are buying, that you can buy enough feed with whatever your boss give you without putting extra, that is to break even. You can't have anything less than 67 to 68%, provided the cost of egg is okay, maybe around 1,007. Please, how much is a crate of egg here now? You are so fortunate. In Jos, as at this morning, I was speaking with one of the major stakeholders. She was complaining bitterly that the price had been forced down to 1,005. The Yankaji people who buy eggs from farms, they are strangulating the farmers. Please, if you have a very strong union, continue to use the power of your union to ensure that farmers do not suffer. So it's important we know this. Now, there are a few things I will quickly mention which you need to know to ensure profit in your poultry business. Number one, you need to have a good understanding of the business. That you have a lot of money to invest in the business will not make you a success in that business. That's one thing you need to know. I know somebody who invested over 300 million naira into this same business about 10 or 12 years ago. Today, there's nothing again on that farm. Hello? It's not how much money you have. The knowledge is very important. When you're employing people to work for you, don't say because this one is my in-law's son, this one is my uncle's daughter. Employ people who will add value to the system. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is very important. You need to have a good understanding of the business, whether it's broiler business or whichever. You also need to draw out a business plan. You look at it. I want to raise 100 broilers. What is the quantity of feed that I will require? What is the cost of feeding these birds over a period of 7 weeks? What is the amount I will need if I want to buy basic things that will support them in terms of vaccines and all that? These are little things you need to draw out in a business plan. Then you look at the key factors that can lead to losses. Number one is poor quality of day-old chicks. Hello? I remember some years ago, a particular farmer, he bought 12,000 day-old chicks from a very big hatchery. You know, I'm not going to mention names here. Hello? He got 12,000 day-old chicks, and under 2 weeks, he lost 10,200. They were wiped out just by a very simple fungal infection. They never knew it was a fungal infection until they came to the laboratory. So if you are the type that loves just using drugs anyhow, without proper investigation, you will be the one to lose. So avoid poor quality day-old chicks. Poor quality and quantity of feed and water. What your chickens take every day is either feed or what? Water. These two must be of the right quantity and quality, or else you'll be looking for trouble. You can also have rodent invasion. I know a farm in Ibadan. I used to go there several years ago. In one day, they killed over 1,000 rats. Now, you will wonder what could have brought about a buildup of rats on that kind of farm. The rats they kept eating the flesh of the chickens. They will enter the cage and be eating their flesh. They thought it was maybe like foxes entering the pen. They put security man there. They could not see anything until when the secret was exposed that rats are the ones causing the damage. 1,000 were killed in just one day. Soldier ant attacks, heavy endo or ectoparasitism, poor vaccination techniques. These are some of the problems we have. You want to vaccinate your birds, the people handling the birds, they are not trained. I visited a farm in Anambra State, and they brought out the mortalities. They complained they were losing birds. And when I started opening each of the birds, one thing was common. All the chickens were having damaged liver with a white covering. You vaccinate this bird. They say it's just yesterday or so. Unfortunately for them, they were using a lower portion of the breast muscle and they were giving the vaccine straight into the liver of their chicken. Intrahepatic and problems because honestly, you also need to even watch your security men. Hello, you need to watch them. Many things are happening. You could also have subtle diversion of income. I've seen where some farm managers will tactically tell the people who buy eggs, they will give them a particular account number. They will pay into that one, and then they will now later carry that one and go and pay the one that belongs to the farm. Do you understand what I'm saying? And one fellow who was doing it at a time, the people who gave me the information were some of the workers. And I tried to explain to the owner to be very vigilant. It didn't take me serious. Each crate of egg, that manager will carry 15 naira on every crate. Imagine if they are producing 2,000 crates in a week. 15 naira times 2,000. Can somebody do that calculation for me? 100,000 in 1 week. Oh. And the owner of the farm will be complaining, things are not moving. Things are not moving. How will things move? If you want your business to do well, put an eye on everything that is happening. How do you ensure profit in your poultry business? You need to consistently carry out market surveys. What is the cost of feed? What is the cost of this? These are basic things you must do almost every 2 or 3 days. Be loyal to your egg buyers who are consistent during the egg glut period. If you are not loyal to those who are buying eggs from you, honestly, a time will come when you need them, they will run away. You need to be loyal and establish a reward system. Maybe at the end of the year, you call all of them together. Esheo, I'm really so grateful you people have supported me all through this year. So because of this, the first person who bought the highest number of eggs from us, we are presenting prize A. The second, prize B. The third, prize C. And then consolation prizes to everybody. And everybody will have something to rejoice for. If you do that, these people will not leave you. But if I that hello? I hope I'm communicating. Because if you chop alone, you die. Eh? business, you need to know the standard. You know that you will just be running blindly. For example, if I want to go into broiler business, one of the very important things I will ask myself, what is the expected quantity of feed that this chicken will eat from day 1 to week 7? And what is the target weight for every week? So that when I monitor this against the quantity of feed they are taking, I will know whether I am meeting up with the standard or not. These are very important questions we need to ask ourselves. But you cannot do this if you don't have records. In your records, you'll be able to see the pattern of growth of your birds, the egg production, the population. When I visit farms, one of the things I always like doing, first, after looking at the environment, I will ask the manager, please, can I have your record? If you are a farmer and you don't have record, I submit to you that you are not in business, honestly. Because you cannot trace anything back to know where the problem is coming from. Frequency and cost of mortality, these are things you will see in the record books. For instance, if you tell me that, doctor, I lost 10 chickens today. Yesterday, I lost 15. Now, this morning, 10. There are questions that we ask. I will also look at your records. What could have led to this mortality? If in your record, you said that 80% had to do with pecking or cannibalism, then I will know that I don't need to prescribe any antibiotic. Am I communicating? Now, if you don't indicate what caused that death, like that pecking that I said, at the end of the day, you will be using something wrong for the real condition. So it's important to specify the type of vaccines and medications administered. All these things are very key. Feed and water consumption. Then in your record, you should have a column for the standard. What do I mean? Day 1, when you collected birds from the hatchery, the average weight, it should be recorded there. Week 1, when you weighed your birds, check, write the weight and compare with the standard. If by week 1, your broilers that are supposed to have about 150 grams on the average are just struggling with 100 grams, then you know that something has gone wrong. These are things we need to know. So for broilers and layers, there are certain things we need to have at the back of our mind. Know the standards in feed consumption, body weight gain, livability. Now, in broiler operation, if you have a very good stocking density, proper warmth, lighting, unhindered access to feed and water, the bird at day old should have average weight of 40 grams. And then by day 7, with proper care, should have between 150 to 160 grams. If you miss this natural growth period, honestly, you have missed a lot. And this is one of the things I always do. If I go to farms where they have broilers, I check the records, I weigh the birds myself, just to ensure that they meet this standard. This is very, very important. Now, this table I'm showing you here is a guide. If you want to snap it, you are very free. Now, at day old, you will expect that the average weight of the chicken should be what? 40 grams. As the chicken gets to day 7, the weight should be about 60 grams. That shows that you are on the right path. If by week 4, your broilers are giving that can kill the business without your knowledge. This picture may not make sense to some of us. But what I'm showing, sample of soya that failed completely. This is one of the reasons why some broilers will not grow at all. I visited a farm somewhere in Owodiegba, a broiler farm, and I told the manager, I said, my friend, these your birds, they are not growing. It was one sample of the soya you are using. This was the sample of their soya. The first 2 plates, it failed the cook test. The third plate passed it. I placed this just for you to see the comparison. And if you are buying raw materials and you are using them on your farm for livestock and you don't carry out some simple tests, you will end up losing a lot. The managing director of this farm was lamenting after several weeks because they didn't listen to what I said. He said they lost money worth about 10 million naira because they did not follow the instruction I gave. Soya, a very good sample of feed ingredient, but if it's not well processed, you will lose money easily. I've seen it happening on the pig farm too. They said their pigs are not putting on weight, that they are losing weight. They thought it was maybe worm infestation. This same test I did, and we changed the whole thing, and their pigs started growing very well. So weighing your birds every week, especially the broilers, is important. And then ensure that your feed conversion ratio does not exceed 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to see whether you people are following me. When I say feed conversion ratio should not exceed 2.0, can anybody explain what that means to me? Please feel very free. Can anybody? Okay. How many of you believe what you said? That means some of us are not aware. Please, can you repeat it for them to hear?
Thank you. I said with 2 kilograms of feed,
yes,
you should be able to generate 1 kilogram flesh.
Thank you so much. Please, let's clap for him. I will give you something for pure water. You are laughing. I will start dropping something. If you like, don't answer my question. Ekoban for 1,000. Yeah. Every pure water for him. Hello. Now, what I'm trying to bring out is this. You must learn something today. What he's saying is that the chicken that you are feeding from day one, when it takes cumulatively up to 5 kilograms of feed by the 7th week, it should not give you anything less than 2.5 kg body weight. That is simple. Are you following? When you find out that you are not able to achieve that, then you will run into crisis. So let's know this. The chicken that we eat 5 kg to give me 2.5 would need to eat 1.7 kg of broiler starter or broiler super starter and 3.3 kg of broiler finisher. If I know this, then I can plan that for 100 broilers, then it means I will need 1,700 kilograms of broiler what? Starter. Then I will divide that by 25 kg. I will know the number of bags that will be required. Then I can budget for it. The same thing for the finisher. If you don't know these things, honestly, it's going to cause problem in your planning. So you also need to know that when birds are approaching week 3 of age, broilers especially, avoid feeding them in the hot period of the day. If it's very hot and you feed them with high energy feed, you will start having crisis. You will see some of them with Some people will keep their own trees and they're looking for people to come and buy at 3,200. You may not always get market that way. So you need to define your own market. Know what you are looking for, and then you take over. How to take. Now, if you are keeping your body beyond 8 weeks, my special advice to you is this: fear Newcastle disease. If you give money to Lasota and 2 and borrow vaccine, don't forget, once they are crossing 8 weeks and you want to keep them in 12 weeks, repeat your Lasota or else Newcastle disease will happen. Be wise. Now, one of the things I also found that if someone is keeping up to 2,000 broilers in a place, you can generate up to about 10 to 11 bags of poultry manure. In just a bag, 100 kg of poultry manure costs 7,000 naira. I remember sometime early November last year, I wanted to plant some potatoes. So the guy who was assisting me, I gave him some money to go and buy manure. Then it was 6,000. But as I speak with you, we are already approaching the planting season. Nobody will sell it less than 7,000 naira per bag. So if you have about 10 bags for these 2,000 broilers, that's something like 70,000 naira extra. Because that cheap money is good money. Eh? Are we together? So these are some of the things you need to know. Some brother farmers, in a bid to make more profit. In a bid to make more profit, you will see what some brother farmers do. Because they make extra money out of this. Can you see? They will slaughter the feather birds. You can see the feathering machine. After the feathering the birds, somebody will remove a few feathers left. You can see the slaughtered ones. And this is where you see them on the slaughtering hole. That blood you are seeing, some people waste this blood. You can process this blood and incorporate it into swine food. And your beats will turn into it. Are we together? Next slide, please. Let me say a few things about bullets. But let me just give a summary to all of us. Bullets go backwards. They have the potential to become excellent layers. From my experience here in Ogun State, when I was in animal care some years ago, I want to say something that if you do it right, you will get the best. I told a particular farmer some years ago, I said, Daddy, I want us to do something different from the way we used to do it. We now got about 5,000 AOP from the market. And then I now gave an instruction that every week we will weigh these products. And I'll be checking the records. Before then, I gave them a breakdown of what the weight should look like from week 1 to week 19. And I told them the quantity of feed they should be eating from week 1 to week 19. That if they can meet this target, then we will do very well. He said, yes. Then I now talked to the manager of the farm. I said, if you can do this thing, I'm going to do. The guy was happy. And I'm happy today that the person is there. We now started that journey. Every week I was going there. Do you know that by the time these chickens go to 27, their egg production hit 90%. That Baba had never seen anything like that on the farm before. Between week 27 and week 47, for 20 weeks, they were maintaining 90% and above. Their milk production was at week 95, they hit 95%. I can't forget it. When I saw what was happening, I got one of my people in an okay. I said, look, these boys are doing very well. That day, I put time in my pocket, I removed 5,000 naira and I gave it to the farmer. The farmer looked at me, doctor, is it only the farmer that I got to do? I said, it's not the farmer. Why? Because I promised him that I will draw something and I will feed my promise. What am I trying to bring out? Encourage your farmers. Give them time. If you can do this, I will do this. Honestly, they won't sleep. They will work hard and try to bring that out. But if you are the type that you always, I don't want to drop anything. You won't get anything. So please be wise. Be wise. That was the progress we were able to make. Now, if you are collecting the votes from the army, you need to screen them. They won't just screen. Last week I was doing this for one of the farmers in Jos. That's the farmer standing behind me. It's something we have told the farmers and they are realizing why these things are very important. Every week we guide them on what the feeding should be and the weight of the bullets. These people that are brought here, if you can start it, please start it. You understand? This will help you to understand what the weight of the chicken should look like, week by week, what they should be consuming per day, per week, so that you won't be overfeeding or underfeeding your birds. I have used this pattern on so many farms, and I have monitored them week by week, and I have gotten very good results. The farm I just talked about, and they hit 95% production, I'm telling you, it was the similar pattern I used, and it helped us a lot. Now, if you can adjust strictly to something like this, it will go a long way to help you. Your chickens will need about 14 to 16 hours of natural and artificial light. What it means is that in the night, between 7 and 10 p.m., you can give them some light so that they can finish their feed and take some extra water. Now, let me say this. You want to raise 1,000 bullets, or somebody called you and said, please, can you write the feasibility for me? I want to raise 1,000 bullets. What is the quantity of feed? What is the quantity of this and that we need? These are some basic information that will help you. Now, an average bullet will natively consume 1.8 kg of chick smash with 1 chickens. Hello? 5 kg of grower mash from week 9 to 19, and from week 20 to about week 25, when birds are to break even in egg production, each bird will basically consume 4.62 kg of mash. If you understand this thing very well, you can calculate and know how much the farmer will need to raise the birds to the point where he will not need to be borrowing extra money to feed them. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, what this means is that you will need 1,800 kilograms of chick mash, which is 72 bags of 25 kg, from week 1 to week 8. And at this amount of 6,880 naira per month, that is 495,360 naira in budget for the chick mash alone. If you do the same thing in grower for the grower mash, which for 1,000 you need 5 tons of grower mash, with the current cost of 5,670 naira, it means you will spend or you will need to budget 1.1 million naira to take them from 9 to 19 weeks for just 1,000 birds. Now, when you add the two together, it means for me to raise this chicken from week 1 to week 19, I will need to spend 1,630 naira on feed for each bird. Those of you who are doing point of day business, you will know how to calculate your profits from here. You know how much you spend your point of day. I'm sure if you are selling your point of day at 16 weeks, it's going to be less than 1,630 that's the cost of feed. Medication and other things will be incorporated into good profits. Provided you are not having issues. What are some of the issues? You will see that the killers of profitability. If your chicken gets to 45 weeks of age and you are not getting very good production, you can begin to call the unproductive ones amongst them. Why? The current cost of feeding the layer to produce an egg for you is not less than 30 naira per day. How many of you understand what I'm saying? Hello? Okay. How many of you agree with what I have just said? Not everybody is taking time to take records and calculate. What do I mean? Your chicken that eats the layer match, and is supposed to give you one egg, we swallow 30 naira of your money every day. And you swallow 30 naira for 45 weeks and it's not giving you one egg. By the time it's 45 weeks, sack those unproductive ones. Hello? Hello, Kahodan. Why? If they continue up to the 72 weeks, you will run into serious crisis. You will say, you will share what is your business and you run up and down. Some of us will even call the prayer warriors. Hello? Share of mind. I believe in prayer. I believe in prayer. But God has given me common sense. I get nothing there. Oh, the food can. If I give you enough period to repent of the evil, I was speaking from him. By week 45, I will sack you. How do I do it? I will mark those cells in the cage. Where if I have kept 5 birds and only 3 eggs, then I will try to put finger between the space between the body bones. If it takes only one finger, I'll put it somewhere. By the time I do that, after I do 3 to 4 weeks, I will reduce the level of losses on the farm. These are things that many of us don't practice. So if you do it for only 50 chickens and you remove only 50 birds, in 1 month you have saved yourself from losing what? 45,000 naira. That will pay somebody on the farm. One of the killers of profit is pilfering. There's no pilfering that is as bad as when somebody that is very close to you is involved. Hello? I have seen a situation where the spouse of a particular farmer whom the one of that. Hello? I have to apply wisdom so that they won't say that I wanted to scatter somebody's mind. I practically what I discover what was happening. So mind the kind of people you put in strategic position. That's all I will say. The wise. One major problem that kills profits after constitution is one of the very common problems you see. I know a man several years ago. It was his problem. He did believe this. You know what told you? Your job. We came with the last summer. It's not ordinary. In fact, he told me that he knows that the enemies within that town are the ones responsible for the losses. I think Baba will do it. I went to his field, and what I saw in his field was his stomach. I put hand in the bag of maize, and my hand was warm. I said, we are using weight maize, and you are saying this one is the child. I don't know what my name. Change this. His wife said, you shouldn't listen to me. I said, Baba, change this. Finally, he listened. After changing the field, within a few days, production started moving on. Before I knew it, Baba was so happy. He bought a blessing set for his wife. Now, it was the wife that said that she not listen to me. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But at the end of it, who was the person that profited? It was Baba's wife. So, what I'm trying to bring out is this. These are some of the killers of profit. Avoid them. Marriage disease is a major killer. I know of some farms where this kind of thing happened, and by the grace of God, since 2006, there is a way we manage this kind of condition. The first farm that I told you, that sir, your both have married, please, can you revaccinate them? He said, you will have been born. They ran away to the University of Livestock. And they met one of my lecturers, Professor Abadi.
Professor Bale said, farmer, this thing is marriage. He said somebody told me that market. But he told me that I should be vaccinated against marriage. The prof now looked at him. He said, well, he is on the field. That statement that prof made was what opened way for him. Since that time, no way back. If I see marriage, I can straighten it. And how do I do it? I will ensure that every other secondary bacterial infection or viral or fungal infection, I will tackle all those ones first. Then I will now be vaccinated against marriage. And usually it takes about 2.5 to 3 weeks before you start seeing some very clear response. I have people here who understand what I'm saying. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me this opportunity to recognize 2 farm managers. Over the years, I've worked with them.
Share this slide online.
Okay, please be your feet. Alpha, be your feet. Please, let's clap for this young man. Look, clap for them again. Let me tell you a few things about them. I talked about that farm that the production hit 95% several years ago. That was Mr. Gabriel. He was the one in charge. One of the farms where I got birds to be vaccinated against marriage, 11,000 birds, they came out of that marriage problem because our farm, he followed my instruction and they brought those birds to be vaccinated and the marriage problem stopped. Are we together? God bless you. They are wonderful guys. Honestly, I wish I had people that gave me jobs. You know, in jobs, we are trying to educate many farmers and so many things. The textbook will tell you to kill all the birds that have marriage. But we don't follow textbook. And in the academia, as a read book, that's why I follow field practice. I'm a field person, I'm a book person. You know my book, are you following what I'm saying? Marriage is a big problem. Influenza is another big problem. Up to about 2 weeks ago, we were still encountering this in jobs. A lot of people have suffered a lot of this. Let me say this, and I don't care what anybody says. If you really want to remain strong in this business, your security is number 1. Don't play with it. Hello? Number 2, if you are wise, ensure you vaccinate your birds against avian influenza. Any FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, is in support of it. But we know the problem we have in this country. Those that are wise, they do what to make them to remain in business. A few weeks ago, somebody called me from Wally. He had 300,000 birds. Somewhere last year, he lost everything to avian influenza. And he started calling me, started asking me, what should I do? Now, I have started again. I have about 60,000. When I told you everything, I said, God, it's big while you're vaccinated. He was saying, yes, nothing will happen. Do what you say your business. There is no amount that the insurance company can give you. Hello? They can't give you enough. Do what you help your business to remain. Newcastle disease, many of you know this. Umbawaji. We have it all over the place. But do be easy to avoid problems. If your chickens drink nonsense water and they eat nonsense food, they will eat nonsense what? Egg. And you won't have any profit. The owner of this water, the particular farm with us, when she called me, that doctor, there's problem, my chickens are dying. I said, madam, if you want me to help you, bring sample of your water too. Oh, God bless you. I will see 10 minutes, I'll try. Do you know when she sent her water sample and I ran the tests, I also examined all the chickens. I told her what the problem was. She asked for the result, I sent it to her. She asked me, what antibiotic should I use? I said, I will tell you to use the antibiotic. Go and design the water line first. Flush off every rubbish in the pipes before I start talking about drugs. Many people are doing other things, and that's why they are making profit. And the family will do just by declining the water lines.
Mortality stopped. Production that was just on 75% moved to around 94%. I was shocked. I asked the manager, he said, am I not the manager? So I didn't argue again. Because we dealt with the water problem, production moved up. Let me quickly say a few things on pig farming. And I want to say that some information I'm going to give you here today, through the help of one of those managers, Mr. Gabriel. These are practical things. If you don't believe it, you are the one losing. When his Oga asked us to help set up the farm, one of the things I told them at the beginning is, if you are going to put a pig farm here, let it be far away from the poultry section for obvious reasons. So on any standard commercial pig farm, you will have newborn piglets, winners, market pigs, that's the growers or finishers, and breeding herd. What are the 4 indicators of profitability in pig farming? Number 1, good fecundity of the sows. Very fertile sows. If they are giving you 10 to 14 piglets and with 90% livability up to the grower stage, then you are very lucky. It means you have a good management on that pig farm. Another thing is you need to have very good growth. For example, you can have a target weight of 60 to 65 kg for growers by maximum of 6 months of age. This can only be achievable if you are using very good breeds. I'm talking of exotic breeds. Exotic breeds, pure landrace, large whites, can give you very good results. If you have a farrowing rate of up to 3 times in a year, how many of you here are pig farmers? Can I see your hands? Pig farmers. Okay. Mr. Gabriel, you don't forget to be pig farmer. Now, your sows, how many of them have farrowed up to 3 times in a year before? If you have experienced that, can I see your hand up? It's only one person. And that one person, I specifically asked that question because I know it has happened on their farm. The question is, how did it happen? Instead of having, assuming 14 piglets per sow per year, instead of having 28 piglets per year, you can have 14 times 3. That is what we are saying. And that is more money for you. I discovered, when I was discussing with him on phone, that when I looked at the data, the time of winning is 4 weeks on their farm. Some people do winning at 6 weeks. You are losing time. Win your piglets early enough so that they can have more time. They come on heat and the business continues. Now, if they farrow up to 3 times in a year, then you will be making more money. That's what it implies. However, quality nutrition is key to success on a pig farm. And the bulk of the running cost has to do with feeding. If you give them nonsense feed, you won't get anything out of it. So what are some of the things that Mr. Gabriel does on the farm? Number 1, once the piglets are up to 4 weeks, they wean them and they start feeding them with creep feed for 3 full weeks. Now the creep feed actually, by standard, is the same thing as broiler starter. Hello? But what we use on this farm is more like layer mash. But that layer mash, the premix is different from the normal layer premix. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So this is given to them as concentrate. If there are 10 piglets, each of them will consume half kg per day. And this will be done for 21 days. So the cost of feeding one winner for 3 full weeks on this particular feed, and it will consume 10.5 kg, it costs 2,589 naira per pig. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, from week 18 to 14, of which they give a grower ration, this is given for 7 weeks at 1.5 kg per pig per day. And what they do is that they use 40% of the creep feed plus 60% of brewery waste. If you want to prepare 100 kg, you use 40 kg of the feed, 60 kg of the brewery waste. Now, with this, it means over a period of 49 days, multiplied by 1.5 kg, each pig will consume 73.5 kg of feed. And at the cost of 155 naira per kg, it means that pig would have consumed feed worth 11,404 naira. Now, at the finisher level, 15 weeks to 24 weeks, the same thing happens. Over a period of 10 weeks, they'll be consuming 2.5 kg per day of the ration, which consists of 20% of the creep feed, 80% of brewery waste, and it costs 24,000 naira, 377. The target weight, according to the information, is 60 to 65, and they have an average of 62.5. The total cumulative feed consumed per pig is 259 kg for one pig. When I did the calculation, I found out that the FCR was 4.3, and I think that was good. 4.3, which is very okay, with good feed. Now, on the average, it will cost about 40,000 naira to produce a pig of about 60 to 65 kg. If you are selling the live weight of the pig at 850 naira per kg and pork at 1,600 per kg, this is a graph showing the pattern of growth, which every month, on the average, they have an increase in weight about 12 kg per month. So if you do the calculation, the gross profit per pig is 10,629 naira. If you are selling that pig, that's your gross profit. Now, if you have 10 of these from a litter that survived, let's say out of the 14, it means from that set of that litter, when they are fully grown, your gross profit is 106,000 naira. This is how you can make it. What are the things that can kill your profits in the pig business? Poor nutrition, poor biosecurity and disease outbreaks like African swine fever. There are things we do in managing outbreaks of African swine fever. One of the things I will strongly advise is that avoid use of wallows. What did I say? You know what I mean by wallows? The best thing for you, use nipple drinkers. With nipple drinker, the transmission of the virus by drinking water from contaminated water will not occur. It's very important. I am glad my friends here have a lot of nipple drinkers. For those of you who are interested in such, if you don't have it on your farm, get it, get a plumber and install nipple drinkers and avoid losses as a result of using of wallows. Poor mothering abilities of some sows. Some sows, they will cannibalize their piglets. They will eat them up. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to avoid losses, one of the very important things you need to do is to get a farrowing cage. You can see this pig taking his own water from here. You can see these ones too. With a good farrowing cage, that pig will not mistakenly lie down on the sows, on the piglets, leading to sudden death. And as it is, the way this pig is inside this farrowing cage, it will be in the farrowing crate, it will be very difficult for it to cannibalize. If you have it, you can rule out the problem of cannibalism and the problem of sudden death as a result of sleeping on the piglet. That's the advantage of having this. Only wise livestock farmer will receive this information and run away from anything that will rob them of desired profit in business. God bless you.
Dr. Dutton, thank you very much. Please help me appreciate Dr. Dutton one more time. This is a time that some of us, we might need to consider diversification. If you have been running well on poultry and you want to increase your income, pig business is another area you can invest into. And with the management tips that Dr. Dotu shared this morning, I can assure you, of course, with backup follow-up support from us, from him, you can be sure that you're going to have profit in your business. We are going on to the second lecture, and that is, please join me as we welcome Mr. Tomi Olatunde from Choice Genetics. We're going to combine all the questions together, and you can just write down your question and then you pass it across to us, so we will answer it all at once. Thank you.
Good morning, House. Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Tomi Olatunde, and I represent Choice Genetics in this seminar. And I would like to recognize pig farmers here. So, if you're a pig farmer, I will enjoy it if you please raise your hand. All right, thank you very much. I also enjoy it so much that we have lots of poultry farmers here, because I usually enjoy your entrepreneurial spirit. And I think it's something that we can share, with our brothers in the swine industry. Now, I have some things prepared for us, basically to buttress what Dr. Dotun really did. I think he has gone a long way in hitting the nail on the head, because swine farming and pig farming is not very different from poultry farming, and I will enjoy if our swine farmers will try to copy what our poultry brothers are doing. It will help our profitability a long way. I would like to start by introducing my company. If you can change the slide, please. It's not this one. Sorry, please. Oh, you can change it. Change it. Yeah, sorry, please. It's technological problems. So, Choice Genetics is a swine genetics company in France. It's an international company. We deal basically with the genetics of pigs. Uh-huh. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. 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 So the topic of my speech will be improving genetics to make your business more profitable. All right. As I said earlier, most of the issues have been treated by Dr. Dotun. All right. But I will go into the genetic aspect of it. So, Choice Genetics belongs to a bigger group, Crop Grimoire. It's a family holding that has three basic um, departments. We have a department dealing with biopharmacy. We also have a department which I belong that deals with animal genetic selection, where we have various feed producing species, starting from waterfowls, layers. Those who have layers, who have dealt with layers here, you might have known the Novogen. It belongs to our group. We have the Hyphem, which is a rabbit producing company, Choice. Then we have the Blue Genetics, and of late we have the Fly Genetics. Sometime last year we started breeding black soldier flies for inclusion in the in animal feed. Choice Genetics generally we are available all over the world. With the headquarters in France, we have a sister company in the United States, in China, and in Poland. Choice is present in the whole of Europe, and we hope in the next months we will have some dots here for the African continent. Improving genetics. I would like to say here that our approach as a genetic company is that we prefer and want our piglets to be weaned by their biological mother. All right? Having said that, we provide and we try to select for animals that will respect and provide all these parameters. So, starting from the gilts, the selection of our gilts, we make sure that our gilts have good number of teeth that have the possibility of having a very high milk production, which means the production and availability of colostrum for our piglets, which is very, very important in the very early life. Piglets need to have availability of colostrum in the first 72 hours. So our guilds provide these possibilities. So at the end of the day, the result will be a uniformity in the birth weight within the litter. Then we have also an average litter weight, and we have a number of piglets born alive, which is almost usually very high. So as I said earlier, we concentrate on the exceptional selection of exceptional teats, so which is a very, very strong criteria as far as we are concerned. Our gills usually have 16 teats on the average, functional teats, which means they have as much more as 18 teats. All right, you might see the of our M3, the large whites, having 16, and the M6 landrays having 16.3. So later on, we have also the reproduction characteristics. As I said earlier, piglets born alive increase. And the sows need to be able to wean lots of piglets. So our sows can wean as much as 14 piglets. All right? Weaned at the heavy weight, and then she will return to eat after, if you must have heard from Mr. Dotun, after as early as 25 days of suckling. All right? So the aim is to have a full value pig, a full value pig that has a very good feed conversion ratio, growth, muscle depth, back fat, and meat quality, which is coupled with robustness. The feed conversion ratio, as Mr. Dr. Dotun said earlier also, is very, very vital. And we select for these parameters because we believe that our pigs should be fed less for more meat. So we say that the kilogram of feed per kilo of a weight gain. We bring it down to to be more than 10 kilos less feed per pig. So if Dr. Dotun's figures was 59 kilos, all right, we are saying 249 kilos. So make your calculations. Our products. Basically, we use the Pure Line Guilds Landras M6 and our large white M3. Now, I would like to make some observations here. All right. We as a genetic company, we say that each of these Pure Line Guilds have different characteristics. All right. For example, the male production is very well known for the Landras. She has a revealing reproduction capacity because she has lots of she's very hyper prolific. All right. She is also a stable mother. All right. On the other hand, we have the M3 large white, which is docile. She's very easy to manage, and then she has maternal properties. And one other thing, she eats well. This is going further on to talk about the M3s. These are M3 guilds. This is how they look like. And of course, our Landras M6 with the, as I said earlier, the stability and being hyperpole. Some M6 Landras guilds here. Now, the important thing here is that we combine the M3 with the M6, okay, to produce the CG36. The CG36 is the F1 sow, which is the commercial sow for fattening. Okay, we have to we have to observe this very well. So I say again, the M6 and the M3s are combined to produce the CG36, which is the commercial line. So what do we mean here? The CG36 is a product of both, and she brings in the progeny. She's better than our parents because she combines all the characteristics of our parents. So when you are dealing with fattening, I will ordinarily propose and recommend the C36. No other way to it. The pure lines are basically used for breeding, practically to produce the CG36. All right, so that we are clear. So when you ask for pure lines, you ask for only this, okay? Or only this. So when you ask for, when we give you a CG36, we give you this and that together. All right? So this is very, very important for fattening piglets. Now, the CG36 has, as we say, the power of maternal instincts. She will give you 80 weaned piglets in her lifetime. That's on the average, 80 weaned piglets. All right, she has on the average 16 teeth, so which gives her the possibility to give, if you remember, the colostrum to the piglet in the first 72 hours, as we said. So there is no need for fostering. All right, she has enough. And peculiar to our sows is that we have 4% and even lower mortality rate. So you find most of our sows getting up as much as the 10, 12, 15 parities. All right, as long as they can take it. The P26 is terminal bore that is used to cross the CG36 to produce fattener piglets. Fattening piglets. All right. This boar comes and gives vigorous piglets, fast-growing piglets, good feed efficiency, and superior meat quality. Because it's a Duroc, it goes relatively fast. We have a Pietrin line, which is the P81. It's a Pietrin line that, comparatively with the P26, can have much more carcass. All right, so if you are a butchery, I will advise you to take this as a boar line. Added on is the P90, which is something in between both boards. It has an exceptional feed efficiency also, vigorous piglets, excellent carcass quality. Yeah, why did I bring it here? The pig pyramid is what I tried to explain earlier, that somewhere here is the genetic company. The genetic company with the nucleo, all right, supplies the multiplier. For example, in Nigeria, we need a multiplier, someone that we can collaborate with, like the poultry brothers. All right, they bring in the parent stock, all right, and then to be able to produce the layer beds. Not so. So it's the same thing here. So we want to bring in our GPs and M3s and M6s, all right, to produce the F1 sow, which is the CG36, which will now go into cross with the P90 or the P81 to produce fattening pigs. Fortunately, this pyramid can only go downwards. Right? It can only go downwards. It can never go the vice versa. All right? So anybody that tries to do the opposite, it always has a repercussion. Now, the value added to your production. We saw lots of pigs with lots of breeds, lots of lines. What does it mean to our production? Yeah, this is a farm in Paraguay. Here, the aim is to show that we are present in hot countries, in countries that have similar climate to Nigeria, and they are doing very, very well. This farmer in Paraguay has been winning consecutively. Is the best pig farmer in Latam, in the whole of Latin America. All right, is winning 34.7 piglets per sow per year. Is winning 34.73 piglets per sow per year. All right, you will see his data, and he's managing 3,083 sows. 3,083 sows. You will see some of his data later on. These are his data as of 29. So he's winning 13.4 piglets. So he's making full use of the CG36. So why am I showing you this? I want to buttress the fact that it's possible here. Now, okay. I tried to gather some data to show you how it works. This is an optimal sow production detail to try to show you the index, the number of the farrowing index of our farm that can be between 247 and 235, which is calculated in this manner. So you can meet me later on. So if you want me to explain you all, this is how it works. All right. So basically, this model farm can make as much as a million naira, because I did it in naira, per sow per year. A million naira per sow per year until the weight of 25 kilos. And I've used basic calculation for our feed. This farm is having an average born alive of 15 piglets with 10% pre-weaning mortality for different reasons. Now, this is a fattening unit. It's a model of a fattening unit. You see, this farm A, buying piglets at 36,000 naira. All right, feeding on arrival on this until 30 kilos with 200 naira cost of feed. 160 naira between 30 and 60, we say, and then 120 naira until 100 kilos. Okay, this is the total consumption. It's almost the same thing as Dr. Dotun showed us earlier. But here you see that for the age from the fattening stage, you see a total consumption of around 250 kilos of feed. So when you multiply all this together, you will see that he's spending 35,000 naira, which gives you a total average feed cost of 142 naira per kilo of feed. This, on the other hand, is Farm B. This is a typical West African farm. All right? I know they buy piglets for around 10,000 naira. 15,000 naira at most. So they try to, hello? Yeah. They try to economize. They try to economize and make their own feed. So they are able to get a cost of 126 naira per kilo for that age range, 116 naira for the other age range between 30 and 60 kilos, then until 100 kilos, which I don't think you will ever get, 112. So if you had that, we get 43,000 naira, but then they are feeding like 360 kilos of feed. These piglets are basically local breed piglets that are picked around. You buy on Facebook. You buy from some groups on, here and there. This is the result of this farm. Because you can never slaughter this pig more than 70 kilos. You can't. And imagine you kept the pig for almost a year, right? Feeding 360 kilos. 380 kilos. So it follows that you are making on this pig around 3,000 naira on one. If I change this coefficient, I take it to 65 kilos. it's minus. You understand? It's minus. So I just kept the it's a break even. So 70 kilo is a break even. And even then, you are having an income based on this, which is not true, okay? 290, 295,000 naira per annum. All right? On the contrary, with good genetics, you are feeding less. You bought it more expensive. You fed less with good feed. All right? You are making 14 million. So these are the practical, this is a practical difference of using good genetics. Yeah. These are pictures I got online. These are piglets of a known source. They look red, but they are, you get some Pietren in it. This is what you get. Yeah, I saw this in eastern Nigeria. I took this myself. These pigs are 6 months old. These pigs are 6 months old. So I told the man to just slaughter them. Yeah, unfortunately, this picture was taken somewhere in England. These are 120-day-old pigs. Yeah, they are crosses of the CG36, all right, with the P90. So they are, you can estimate the weight of those pigs. You have 90 kilos pigs there, 95. So this is what we're talking about, and this is where we want to go. Before I come here, the aim of this speech is to instigate and to try to pass on the message that it's possible, but we have to buy good genetics to be able to have good results. We believe that if you're a fattener and you buy piglets of good genetics, if you buy at 25 kilos, the age of that pig should not be more than 70 days old. 70 days old at 25 kilos. All right? We can go to 75, but no more than that. So that pig will grow. So if you're buying piglets of 10 kilos of I don't know how many months old, you buy you get what you bought. So because we get lots of requests for animals, and people are saying why the animals are not growing. Well, then when you still keep buying genetics from Facebook or animals from Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. As I was saying, sorry, COVID. I wanted to say COVID has taught us in the past 2 years to change our tactics on how we can approach or to get our customers, how we get in touch with our prospects. So we we went on to fix a website called With You. It's from the word with you, because we couldn't visit farms. So we tried to get our farmers to contact us through with the With You website, to download videos, to download tutorials that is good and will help their um, uh, production tutorials. So you can check it, and the registration is free, and you will be able to have access to our tutorials. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry because I have to translate in 3 languages. So I'm sorry. Thank you so much. So I think the questions can be addressed later.
Thank you, Mr. Tomi Olatunde. Please help me appreciate him one more time. We are going to take all the questions together after all the lectures. Before we take the third lecture, I would like to recognize the presence of is our father, but at this capacity is the national president of Pig Farmers Association of Nigeria. That is in the person of Professor Adeshenywa. Please help me appreciate Professor Adeshenywa. I would like to bring to the microphone now my colleague who is going to be talking to us about solar power. And that is, please join me as we welcome Adenigba Hadeoye.
Good afternoon, yo. Hello. Nepal, Leo. Good afternoon. My name is Ade, and we'll be talking about solar in Nigeria. Can anybody just quickly define what solar is, please? Let's make it an interactive session. So everybody look up, look up, look up. Thank you. The sun, energy from the sun, basically. Okay, so in Nigeria, Nigeria like 200 million, but everybody's off grid. You run generator, I run generator, and we know about the diesel issue in Nigeria. So my question to you is, how have you been solving the light problem on your farm? Do you have solar on your farm, man? What's the capacity? How solar, please, can you give? Okay, sir, hold on.
Solar can help a lot.
Solar, do you have solar on your farm?
No.
Okay. And what else? You have solar on your farm. And how has it been so far?
Not too good, especially this rainy season.
Okay, you don't have battery backup?
I don't have battery backup.
Okay. And where else again wants to talk about? Okay, the one at the back. There's one at the back.
Yes.
What's the capacity on your farm, man?
Well, it served the purpose of my pen. I can't really say. I know I have 3 panels
Okay.
and 100, I think 100 whatever, but
And what's your experience like so far?
so far so good. It's serving its purpose.
Okay, so my question to everyone is, why are we not embracing solar power in Nigeria?
It's expensive.
Why don't you have it on your farm, sir? Why don't you have solar panels on your farm?
It's expensive.
Says who, sir? Hey, he wants to say something about.
One of the factor, Jesus, one of the factor that affects the use of solar system in Nigeria
Okay.
is number one, it's capital intensive. Like
Okay.
the meaning of capital intensive is that not all farmers has the money to start it
Okay.
on this farm. Number one. Then number two, can we manage it when it gets or when it has fault? So that's like 2 of the main problem why some farmers doesn't apply it to their farm.
Okay, but have you heard about the power purchase agreement done by several solar companies where you can pay as you use?
Yes.
But so that's not capital intensive, is it? That's not capital intensive. And when it comes to management, solar does not really have plenty moving parts, so I don't think it breaks down often.
Such also fluctuates. I partner with a company that every month you renew, they send PIN to you and all that. Sometimes the light is supposed to come on by 7 p.m. By 8:30, my light is off again. They will claim that maybe the sunlight was not enough. Eventually, I had to abandon them and do an independent one that I don't have to depend on PIN and all that. And the one I have,
I know the load I put on it, and it serves me well than all this partner stuff.
Okay. Okay. My colleague, Mr. Bolu, mentioned that Big Dutchman now kind of offers a turnkey solution, which includes your power solution. And we are here to tell you that we also have a sun farm. You can see the solution slash power box for your farms. We also have solutions where you can pay as you use, outright payment, which makes it a win-win thing for Nigeria and the farming sector. And do you think you guys will be ready to take on that risk? Because I don't think it's expensive. From my chairman at the back. So if I gave you a solution where you can pay as you use, would you be interested?
Farmers that it's not all farmers that are like it's not all farmers that knows about that. But some farmers now, what the first thing that always runs on their mind is that it's capital intensive, I don't have money to start it. But for that type of situation now, it solves the problem.
Okay, so but if you look here now, and that's where I'm here, you can generate as low as 3 cents per kilowatt hour. So is that really expensive? Convert it to naira, and just divide. Let's divide it together now. Hello. So without batteries, you can generate as low as between 25 to 35 naira. Depends on what you want to power. And contrary to opinion, solar can power everything you so desire, from your archery to your feed mill to your pumping machines, lights, and just name it. Sir?
Somebody called me from Jos and wants to have an interaction with you.
Yes, sir.
She owns a hatchery.
Yes, sir.
So if I assume they have about, let me say, 4 setters and maybe like 2 hatchers,
Okay, sir.
let's say 6 machines altogether,
Yes, sir.
what level of power do you think will be needed? Level of energy that will power that kind of system in a hatchery, 24 hours per day, and then all through the month and the year.
Okay.
Yes.
Like Mr. Dr. Dolakwa and I visited some hatcheries, Dainty and GS Agri. So averagely, their consumption is about average between 40 and 70 kilowatts per hour. So with that, we were able to design something that the system was oversized, where it will charge the batteries with minimum light during the day, so they can use throughout the night. So it's a 24-hour system with no minimum interruption. So you're not scared about NEPA tripping off, generator tripping off. So even if there is NEPA, the NEPA helps charge the batteries. Your solar is still running. So your solar is your primary source of power. NEPA and PCN is temporary. And the system is done in such a way that it's automatic. You don't need to run up and down to swap. There is an ATS attached to it, so it changes the light for you. You just stay and you can monitor it on your phone. Any other question, please? The cost of that, I compared to diesel now. So we try to target about 1 euro per watt, but the cost saving this gives you, it's about 30% power cost saving. So and that was before the diesel went up. This was against diesel at 360 naira. So now that diesel is 720, so that's about 60%. Any other question, please? So can I say with this little interaction of mine, we have some. You have a question?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes. Just for the benefit of farmers that are sitting here today, can you tell us the average cost of NEPA electricity per kilowatt hour and the average cost of the solar system so that we can compare and contrast?
NEPA now on your transmission line, the consistent one is about 62 naira per kilowatt hour. Solar can give you 57 naira. That's with batteries. It can be lower depending on what you want to power. But let's see average of 57 naira. So that's 5 naira per kilowatt hour. So imagine you're powering a whole archery. 5 naira times probably 1,000, 10,000 kilowatt hours. So you know what you're making on a daily. And for small farmers, we have a solution called the Power Box Mini. It's a little box where you can push around on your farm. I have a picture somewhere on my laptop I can show you. Can you hear me show them the Power Box? No, I don't think it's there. Power Box. Just show them Power Box. No, it's not there. Power Box. Fine. They'll put the picture up. You can push it around, just a small whatever with inverters. It's covered against rain and all that, and it can power your farm, your pumping machine, manure scrapers, and it's inexpensive. So for small scale farmers, about 5,000, I think 10,000 capacity to work with one manure scraper. Any other question? So can I say thank you for your time? And if you have any other question, you can let me know.
Thank you, please. Let me appreciate Adeoye. For more questions on solar, Adeoye will still be here after the seminar to interact with you. But because of time, I'd like to invite the last person to take the lecture for today. And that is, we are taking biosecurity and flock health. And my colleague, Dr. Dolapo Babajide, will be taking that. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dolapo Babajide.
Please, if you have questions, you can just write it down and I collect them for all the presenters. So just take all the questions together. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know we have been sitting for a while. Can we just all get up to do a little exercise? So let us shake our hands, our left hand, our right hand. Let's shake our leg, the other leg. We can have our seats. At least that will help with the blood circulation. I'm not going to take too much of our time today because already our time is fast spent. So we are going to quickly discuss biosecurity and flock health. I am saying today that most of what we want to discuss today are things that a lot of farmers are already familiar with. The reason why we are discussing this today is because it is important to constantly remind ourselves of the importance of biosecurity and the reason why we need to pay a lot of attention to our flock health. Because a farmer can do everything right, but if you do not take care of the health of your flock or your biosecurity, you can waste all your profits treating your animals because you have missed it from the foundation. It's not working. So, biosecurity is basically a set of measures that you design to protect your flock from getting an infection or getting disease, in simple terms. So these are the various things you need to do on your farm to prevent disease from entering your flock. And if it so happens that disease enters your flock, you want to minimize the impact on your farm. And there are so many things we do for biosecurity to prevent this disease from entering our farm. But why do we do biosecurity? The major reason why biosecurity is very, very important is because a lot of our farms are commercialized. In the olden days, we used to do backyard farming. But because these days we stock a large number of birds within a small space,
You are stocking large number of birds within a small space at a very high stocking density. And the more number of animals you put within a small space, the more risk of disease spreading within that space. This is part of the reason why biosecurity is very, very important. Another thing is that most of the breeds of animals we are currently raising in Nigeria are exotic breeds. Exotic breeds would come with their own challenges. Some of them can come with exotic diseases, and a lot of them, many times, will be susceptible to diseases that are indigenous. This is the reason why we need to ensure that biosecurity is very paramount in our hearts, in our mind, to ensure that we can protect our flock and secure our investments. How does disease spread? We are all aware of what happened during COVID-19. The same way that COVID-19 spread from human to human is very, very similar to the same way it spreads in animals. Movement of people or movement of animals from one place to the other. Movement of vehicles and equipment. A lot of times, our attendants working on our farm, the same clothes they brought from home is the same clothes they will wear and they will enter our pen. A lot of times, it's a very big risk, especially if you have attendants that are living in areas where you have these local animals, these local breeds. If you have an attendant living in a village settings where there are a lot of animals that are roaming around, you stand a very high risk of bringing disease to your farm. Another thing is that some farmers, because they live in a cluster, they share equipment among themselves. This is part of the challenges of living within a farming cluster. You find out that this farmer will be using, you have 3, 4, or 5 farmers using the same attendant. So if there's an outbreak of a disease in one pen or one farm, because the attendant is the one taking care of all the flocks, that disease ends up spreading within the whole cluster. Those are some of the challenges with biosecurity. Another thing is poor cleaning and disinfection of equipment and vehicles. If I want to ask today, a typical farmer here, Mr. Moses, do we have the microphone? Can anybody tell me how they clean their pig, poultry, or poultry house? Any volunteer? Any volunteer? Anybody? Please, thank you.
Hello.
Tell us how you clean your poultry house.
We use this equipment, this power spray.
Okay.
To clean the houses.
Okay.
With disinfectants.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me the sequence, how you do the cleaning? It is very, very important for us to know that, sir. Just give us something very quickly. Okay, let me shed more light. The fact that we say clean our pen, there's a particular procedure if you want to clean your pen. The most important one is that you want to remove organic materials. When your birds or your pigs are out of the house, you first of all want to remove all their litter, the manure and everything. That is dry cleaning. You sweep, you shovel, you remove the manure. When you have done that, then you now get a hose of water. Some people use hot water. If you have it available, you can also use cold water. You need to wash first without any soap because you want to prepare the surface for cleaning. After you have washed with water, then you use your detergent. Now, it is not only about using detergent. The concentration of the detergent you use also is very, very important. You need to follow the manufacturer's instruction. Then, you also need to allow your detergent to act. Most of the detergents that we use in livestock business are contact acting, surface acting. So you need to allow your detergent to stay on the surface for at least 10 to 15 minutes. After which, you will rinse it. Then, you will now apply your disinfectant, which has been mixed according to manufacturer's instruction. When this is done, you allow your pen to dry. Then, you will cover the pen. Sometimes, some people use sack. Then you can fumigate with formalin and potassium permanganate. If you have not done all this, you have not done proper cleaning. No. This is the reason why when we talk about cleaning, it is important that we know that cleaning has some procedures. And if we want to do proper cleaning, we have to follow all these procedures and then use those chemicals according to manufacturer's instruction. A lot of times, when we discuss biosecurity, it looks as if it's a big word, but basically it's divided into conceptual biosecurity, procedural, and structural. The conceptual is when you are starting your farm fresh, you just got a property. The moment you are getting your property, you need to start thinking of biosecurity. Because if you miss it as you are starting, a lot of times it's very difficult to correct. The first thing that should come to your mind when you are getting land is that your farm has to be in an isolated location. You do not want to situate your farm close to another farmer because you do not know the challenge the farmer is having on his farm. So that is why we always advise, ensure that your farm is at least 5 to 10 kilometers away from the next farmer. So that even if the farmer within the next 10 to 5 kilometers away is having a problem, it will be difficult for you to get it on your farm. Another thing is your farm layout. You need to structure your farm such that the younger flock the pen for the younger flock or the younger herd will be the one at the entrance and then the older at the end. So this is the reason why when you are planning your farm layout, you need to invite your veterinary doctor or your animal scientist to work with your architect or engineer. You do not want to build a farm such that the oldest flock is the one towards the entrance. Because if you do that, there's a very high tendency that your attendants will enter the old flock first. And if there's a disease that is in that old flock and they are already immune to it, you can transmit it to the younger flock. Another thing I would like to mention is that your farm is not a zoo. Your farm is a business. But a lot of people, because of the issue of ego, they want everybody to see how big their farm is. They start inviting people. While you are doing that, you can open your farm to a lot of risk. So as much as possible, let us desist from inviting anybody to our farm who has nothing to do with farming. Structural biosecurity. After we have gotten the land, you have gotten a layout, the next thing that should come to your mind is the structure you want to put in place. You need to think of the right structure, the right orientation of the pen, and then the right equipment. All these are very important for your biosecurity. I would like to say that the more automated your farm is, the better your biosecurity. The more level of automation on your farm, the less number of attendants you need. And the less the amount of time your poultry or your pig has access to humans, the better your biosecurity. There are some systems that you can put in place such that you only have one attendant managing 25,000 birds. Only one attendant managing 50 pigs because you have automated the system. If you look at the other side, if you are running a manual system, the same 25,000 birds, you can have 5 people managing them. This will increase the risk and the biosecurity risk of your farm. Now, the last one that is very, very important is the procedural biosecurity. The normal day-to-day activities. Using tire dip at your gate, washing your hand, using foot dip. Many times you visit farms, you will find the foot dip. You might not find any disinfectant there. This is something a lot of farmers do a lot of times. You will see the foot dip at the entrance of the farm, but there will be no disinfectant. So typically, most people just jump over it, and then they enter the broiler house or the poultry house. And then if they are coming from a farm that already has a problem, they bring the disease straight into your farm. Apart from all this, it is also important that you do regular training and refresher training for your staff on the daily biosecurity protocols so that they can enforce biosecurity. Now, another thing that is very, very important is you don't only say biosecurity, you need a plan. And then you need somebody on the farm that will enforce it. Typically, for most farms, the farm manager enforces biosecurity. He puts a sign, you cannot pass this place. Please, dip your foot. Please, wash your hand. Please, this is your overall. You need somebody to constantly remind the attendants, to constantly remind the people that are coming into your farm that you have biosecurity on your farm. Now, there are some critical points that exposes a farm to biosecurity risk. One of the most important one is feeding. If the source of your feed is from a compromised source, or you are feeding raw materials that are poor quality, something like wet maize, or you are feeding soya that have grown mold, this can increase the risk of your animals, either pig or poultry, falling sick. Now, your waste is also a source. If you do not properly dispose your waste, for example, animals that die from disease, we always advise that you burn them or you bury them. Sometimes you get to a poultry farm, you have a particular farmer, and then animals are dead. 2 days, they are still in the pen. That is not ideal. Because the animal that died most likely had a disease. If you continue to leave the animal, other animals, out of curiosity, will go and peck, and then they can also get the disease. So let us dispose our waste properly. Another one is contaminated clothes. That is the reason why I said it is very important that we provide dedicated work clothes for our attendants. Another one are the people that are always coming to visit on the farm. Anybody who is not doing anything related to farming has no business coming to your farm. If you have other businesses to discuss outside the farm. Anybody who wants to come and buy pigs or buy poultry or buy eggs, have a dedicated place, if possible, outside your farm. A lot of times, pig farmers will bear me witness. The major challenge that the pig industry faced about ASF are those guys that are coming to buy pigs. They will go around different farms buying pigs, and then they will buy pigs that are sick, and they will still come to your farm to come and buy pigs from you, bringing that disease to your farm. The same thing for poultry. So when you are receiving visitors, if you have a dedicated site outside your farm where you can sell your eggs, where you can sell your chicken, or where you can sell your pork, it is very, very important. Other things are contaminated materials, and then pests, then wild animals. Like I mentioned earlier, your daily operations, the way you clean, the way you disinfect, the way you manage water sanitation, feed sanitation, pest control. Like I always tell farmers, any farm that you go to and you see rats, there's almost 100% chance that you have salmonella, which is fowl typhoid, and fowl cholera on those farms. Because rodent is a carrier of this disease. If you go to many farms that waste feed or that do not manage their feeding properly, in the evening when the farmer has gone home, you find rats coming down. They will eat from the feed, defecate and urinate. On such farms, most of the times they will end up treating salmonella over and over and over again. And because of this, they are wasting money buying antibiotics. This is the reason why, as you are planning your biosecurity, also plan for rodent control. When I say rodent control, there's a very easy way of managing your rodents. There's something that I always recommend to farmers. Have bait stations. Most poultry houses have 4 corners. So what you do is that you can get plates, normal eating plates, put it at the 4 corners of your house. Every day, as you are feeding your birds or feeding your pigs, also feed the rats. This might sound crazy, but as you are feeding your birds, in all those 4 corners of your house, put feed for the rats too. The first thing it will help you with is that the rats, because they are getting their feed from the bait station, they might not want to enter your pen because already they are full. So it will save you part of the risk of salmonella. Another thing is that the rats would have gotten used to getting their feed from the bait station. So by day 5 or day 7, then you can put your rat poison. You will discover that within that week, you can have 200 rats dead. So this will help you to control their population. Another thing you also need to consider is that these rats, sometimes they get used to the smell of rat poison. So you need to change the kind of rat poison you use regularly so that it will continue to work for a long time. Let me tell you a fact. There's no way we can eliminate rats on our farm. You can only manage them. Any place where you have livestock, you will always have rats because they will come for the feed. So this method I explained to you is a very effective way of managing them so that your farm can feel at rest. Now, flock health planning. It is very, very important that you have a plan for your farm before you start the farming. And a lot of times, it is good that you discuss with your veterinary doctor, your animal scientist, because these are the people that are experienced. They will be able to give you proper advice. You need to plan for so many things, and I'm going to mention some of those things. From the word go, when you are starting your farm, the kind of building you want. Do you want an automated house, a semi-automated house, or a manual housing system? You need to discuss this with your veterinary doctor, your animal scientist. These guys know the benefits of each of those systems. Another thing is that, just like the previous people that spoke before me, farm data is very important. If you are running a farm without record, it will be difficult for a vet doctor to help you. I can tell you here that for farms that have very good record, sometimes the vet might not even need to visit your farm. If you have proper record and you share your record with a farmer, with a vet that is not even on your farm, he can tell you where the problem started and what went wrong. But if you don't have proper record, the vet doctor now has to be walking back, starts checking, what might be the problem. But if you have proper record, he will tell you, oh, from your record, what did you change? This is what you change. This is what might have happened. So I cannot overemphasize this. Then, biosecurity measures that you take on your farm. Then you need a contingency plan, medication plan, vaccination plan, and very, very importantly, as you are starting a farm, either pig or poultry farm, you need to work very closely with a lab to help you with serology, to check your feed, to check your water quality. Like I mentioned earlier, there are different building types which you can discuss with your vets, your animal scientists. They will advise you on which one based on your budget for the project. Equipment also is what you also have to discuss. There are different types of equipment which you can also consider based on your budget, and then the vet doctor and the animal scientist will advise you the kind of biosecurity you can use while planning these systems. Now, these are some of the equipment that even the smallholder farmers, people that are just starting, can use. But one of the most important ones that people do not take cognizance of is a thermometer. A lot of times, we always assume that, oh, the birds will be fine. We sometimes estimate temperature. But if you have something that you can check that will give you a digital idea of what is going on, it helps a lot. Then all other systems that you can also use manually to also improve your system. The way we used to do farming in those days is different from what we have now. If you want to remain profitable, farming is not just farming. It has become agribusiness, which is business. So because of this, we need to start thinking like modern farmers. Even when we have very small budgets, we need to think of how we can maximize that budget by using modern equipment, which might even be cheap. Like I said, these are all the various data that can be collected on your farm. The basic history of your farm, your medication history, the normal data. It is only when you have a normal data on your farm that your vet doctor can know when there's a problem. If you do not have any standard to compare it with, it becomes a challenge for the vet. Another thing is the morbidity. In broiler farming, the estimate is that you should not have more than 2% mortality. If you are beginning to have more than 2% mortality, then a lot of things you are doing is wrong. Then your biosecurity is at risk. For layers over their life, roughly is about 5%. For pigs, roughly about 2%. Roughly. Now, a lot of other parameters are important. Your first week mortality for pigs and for poultry. Then the amount of feed they consume, your water quality and all that. Very, very importantly, I mentioned something about water sanitation. Before you start your farm, it is important that you collect samples of the water from your site to check the quality of the water. There are some sites that they contain hard water. If your farm is situated in a place with hard water, you are going to face a number of challenges. Sometimes you have some farm sites with very high bacterial load. If you have a farm in this place, you have to be constantly sanitizing your water with things like isochlorine. Now, other biosecurity measures are the normal daily routines. But can anybody identify this particular bird? This white bird? A lot of times, we see this on our farm and then we don't even take cognizance of it. This bird is one of the most dangerous birds that can exist on anybody's farm. Let me tell you the reason why. These animals, they migrate a lot of distance. Many times in Europe, when they have avian influenza outbreak, most of the times, I always sit down and wait. Because in the next few months, we will have it definitely in Nigeria. Because these animals, during winter, They migrate from Europe down to sub-Saharan Africa. And avian influenza does not kill this particular bird. So because of that, they act as reservoir hosts, as incubators, as carriers. So many times when they report outbreaks of avian influenza in Europe, most of the times I know that before we know it, in the next few months, we'll have it in Nigeria. Because some farmers would not manage their manure well. They would not manage their litter well. They would throw dead animals on the litter, and these animals will go and pick worms from there. They will defecate on your farm. And the moment they start dropping feces on your farm, there's a very high chance that it will enter your farm. So as much as possible, let us manage this wild animal very well. At the same time, like I also mentioned, rodents. Then we need a contingency plan. Sometimes accidents happen on the farm. If you have the capacity to do insurance, please go ahead and do your insurance. I have witnessed a scenario where people receive breeders, 5,000 breeders at 2,000 naira per breeder. Can anybody multiply 5,000 birds by 2,000? 100 million naira. Do you know what happened? One of the attendants took all the cartons and was burning the carton at the end of the house. The fire started burning, and then because it was a closed house, the fan was rolling, and then the fan drew the fire into the house, and it destroyed all those birds. Let me tell you the benefit of a contingency plan. That particular farmer insured the broiler house and insured his flock. So the insurance company bought another house for them, paid for it, and paid for the birds. So this is the reason why when we are planning farming, your contingent plan is also very important, because natural disasters happen. Sometimes the wind can blow your house. So if you have a contingent plan, insurance, it helps. And then poultry farmers are very familiar with vaccination, and there are so many vaccines that are available in Nigeria at the moment. There's hardly any disease you can think of in poultry that doesn't have vaccine. Even CRD. A lot of farmers, they do the bare minimum vaccination, and then they keep using antibiotics. Salmonella has a vaccine. Chronic respiratory disease has a vaccine. Fowl typhoid has vaccine. All these conditions have vaccines. So let us contact professionals to advise us on proper vaccination programs so that we can minimize antibiotics usage. Now, for pigs, a lot of times, most pig farmers do not even do any vaccination. But let me tell you that there are vaccines, even in Nigeria, that can protect against a lot of diseases that affects our flock, that kills the neonates, the new pigs, that affects the fertility in the mother, that causes respiratory diseases. So let us reach out to our professional colleagues, vet doctors, animal scientists. They have contacts with people that can get all these vaccines for us. It is better to do vaccination than for you to be using antibiotics every time. It is even much more cost effective. Then, for just like I mentioned, apart from the vaccination, medication, it is important that when you are writing your farm management plan, you think of the kind of antibiotics you want to use on the farm based on your veterinary doctor or your animal scientist. The kind of anticoccidials, the dewormers you want to use, what you want to use for the louse, heat stress management, multivitamin, premixes, toxin binders. These are very, very important for profitable poultry and pig farming. Last, like I mentioned, laboratory checks is very, very important. I believe a lot of us, because poultry and pig feed is very expensive now, we use a lot of commercial feed. While we are using commercial feed, it is important that we regularly check the quality of what they are selling to us. It is important that we regularly check the quality of our water. We regularly check the coliform count. All these things are very important for us to know so that we can make changes to improve our productivity. Lastly, when we are starting poultry farm or a pig farm, I always advise my farmers, start small. Start with your own personal fund. When you exhaust your personal fund, you can think of maybe family and friends. By the time you leave the level of family and friends, you can think of cooperative societies. Most cooperative societies, they give interest rate of 1 to 2%, which most farmers can afford. Before you can now start thinking of a bank loan. Because bank loans, the interest rate varies from between 9% to 25%. So as much as possible, when we are making plans for our farm, let us consider all these options before we start at all. lastly, I would like to conclude that biosecurity is everybody's responsibility. You cannot say you are the farm owner and you are not saying it's the manager that is supposed to tell them. It's the manager that is supposed to do this. So let us take action and take responsibility for the biosecurity of our farm. So Big Dutchman has a lot of social media pages. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn. You can check us on Google. You can even check our website for more information. Apart from the services we render, we also provide after-sales services for our farmers that are doing business with us. We have a very strong team within and outside Nigeria that can provide the support that every farmer needs to succeed. Thank you for your attention.
Wow. Help me appreciate Dolapo one more time. We're going straight to question and answer, and I would like to invite all the facilitators to please come forward. The questions that we wrote down, we've distributed those questions to them. So right now, they're just going to be answering those questions. Adeoye, please kindly come forward. Dr. Dotun, please just come forward. And Dolapo, please come forward. Okay, you can.
Thank you. My name is Tunde Akambi. I'm a farmer, and I also work as a marketing manager for a feed mill. Thank you so much, all our facilitators. These have been extremely wonderful. These are informations that people pay a lot for. We appreciate you so much. Dr. Dotun, aside a problem of uniformity when a flock is not uniform, what other things from practice do you think can be a problem that can cause birds not to lay? You're actually telling us about calling off birds that are not laying, which is of course reasonable. But what are other factors we can look at? What can actually cause a bird to degenerate to the point of not laying? And our lecturer in genetics, thank you so much, sir. Must have cost you a lot to come down to Nigeria. Yeah, every research ends at the level of economy. And how affordable is your proposal to an average Nigerian farmer? The third person go to the person that lectured us on biosecurity. Practically, I equally want to say that this malam that go around to collect dungs, so many of the farmers allow them to come to the farm, do the bagging by themselves, and they come and pick. Yesterday, I was at the farm in the afternoon. I actually met them, going out when I was coming. I didn't know they were coming from my farm. And so when I got to the farm, I didn't want to disturb the guys to come and open the gate. So I opened the gate myself and I drove in. So I left the gate because I would leave on time. And as I was on the farm, the guys drove in their bike. I said, who are these? Where are they coming from? They said they are the guys that pick dongs. I said, is this how you allow them to enter the farm and go out freely? So they are equally source of issues when we talk about security. Then I want to propose to farmers, particularly smallholders, poultry farmers or piggery farmers, that one of the easiest way to control rodents on farm, which I have discovered, is use of cats. Well, I spent so much controlling rats on the farm, and I couldn't succeed. I engaged cats. I put only one there. I don't know the one that mated it. Maybe a white cat mated it. Gave birth to 3. I tell you, cats and lizards disappear completely on the farm. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me start with your question, sir. I will start from the last question. You said, apart from the issue of uniformity, which could be responsible for maybe delay in onset of production or lack of production, lack of production. Now, what are the other things that can contribute to that? Now, number one is quality of feed. In the issue of feed quality, I gave an example of a farm where I discovered that they were using fake premix. Premix alone has destroyed people's production. Here in Abeokuta, I remember one woman came to me years ago. She was begging me if I could come and buy her farm. I knew the size of the farm, and I started thinking, how can Elijah tell me to come and buy her farm? Because she was fed up. She never knew that the person who supplied her premix had supplied fake premix. I discovered this on some other farms, and I had to warn farmers anywhere I went that time. Mind the kind of premix you buy. It can knock down a lot of things and can prevent birds from laying. Apart from the usual nutrition, one other very important disease that I've seen how it dramatically knocks down production, you may not see mortality, but it will knock it down, and even prevent some from coming up, is Newcastle disease. By every means, ensure your birds are well protected. Let me say this again, sir. At times, it's not the fault of the farmer. It could be the quality of that vaccine. I have seen Lasota vaccines that are very useless. What do I mean? A 1,000 dose Lasota, when I check the potency in the lab, when it's supposed to give me at least maybe like 10 log 2 as the power, so to say, and I'm seeing something like 2 log 2 or 0 log 2, that is useless. And written on that vaccine vial is 1,000 doses. The poor farmer does not know, but I will know. And I have had to intervene in some issues on some farms. I quickly called the attention to it that this brand of Lasota you are using, we have been monitoring it for the last 3 weeks. And if you continue to use it, you will continue to run into crisis. Some, out of ignorance, do not know that these are things that can make their birds not to be in good production. ND can destroy production. Then you also have other things like ectoparasites. Lice. I know a woman who lost a lot because she didn't know what was causing the problem. Her birds were just on 41%. If you're having 41% production, can that buy enough feed for your chicken? So a colleague of mine went there. Yes, many birds were not laying. Birds that are supposed to be feeding and giving eggs are busy scratching their body. They were eating, but the production was not coming out. So when my colleague now examined the body of the birds, he found out that they had very heavy level of mite infestation. He now decided to use the method I use to delouse the birds. There's a way we use ivermectin oral, but this time he didn't use it for 2 days. He used it for 3 consecutive days. So if you don't know how to check the body of your birds, you may be losing money because these parasites hide under the feathers. After delousing them 3 days, by the 7th day, which was 4 days after they stopped delousing, the manager called my colleague and said, "Doctor, our production has moved from 49% to 71% just by delousing. All the vitamins they had been using and Lasota could not do anything." Then 3 days after that first call, he told him that the production had moved from 71 to 81. It was after then the woman called my colleague and said, "Doctor, come. I've been owing animal care money. I'm owing animal care 300,000 naira." She now wrote that check and handed over the check to my colleague. You can see how lice, as small as they are, prevented several birds from producing. They are tiny, but they are mighty. We need to watch. These are some of the things. Your water. Which one?
Timing of using those ivermectin that you said.
Okay. Please. Now, if you look at most of the ivermectins you see, they will tell you use at 1 meal per 25 kg. No be so? Do you read it? It will never work that way. Hello? 1 meal per 25 kg will never work. What you should just target when you are buying your ivermectin, just target 1 meal per 10 kg body weight. Roughly, for some of us who may not know how to do all this calculation, you may just say the 1% ivermectin, I will use it at 1 meal per 2 liters of drinking water for birds that are drinking their water very well. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Hello? Alternatively, if you want to make it easier for yourself, you can say for every 1,000 layers, I will need 180 mils of what? 1% ivermectin per day. The second day, you give it like that, and that will be okay. Is that clear, sir? At what? You can decide to give it throughout the day, or you pause those. You can decide to use half of the water they take in a day. If there are 1,000 layers and they take like 360 liters per day, put the 180 mils into 180 liters. You have paused those. The remaining half of the water, use vitamin. That will be excellent. Is that clear? The last thing that can affect production, sir, is the water. If you have nipple drinkers that are blocked, that's why you must check all these things from time to time. It can affect production and can also lead to mortality. Another question here. On day chick screening, that does it need to check every batch of the day chick, even when you are getting your birds from the same hatchery? Now, let me quickly say something. You may get these birds from the same hatchery, but they are coming from various set of parent stock. It could be different. That's one thing you need to know. And why it is advisable to check is because at different points in time, they could have different levels of infection, which you are not aware of. If you can detect it early and you nip it in the bud, you have done yourself much good, and it is safer and better. Now, the last question here, can you give us a template for record keeping in piggery based on your experience? Now, if you have your biro there and paper, I will just mention a few things that could be of help to you. Now, if you are having a place where you keep your pigs, the first thing is that in each of those sections, if this is house 1, and you have some various sections, maybe different pens within, you have house 2 or house 3. Your record for house 1 should indicate that this is house 1, section 1, 2, 3, or 4. Or you may call it house 1 or pen 1, 2, 3 under the house 1 generally. Now, when you do that, you have indicated the location. Apart from having that on your record, you also need to have on the record, maybe it's a monthly record. You will know that particular month for that particular year. And then in the first pen, you need to have the population of pigs that you have there. Not just the population of pigs, the type or the class of pigs. What do I mean by the class of pigs? Are they breeders? Are they winners? Are they growers? You need to indicate all this there. That will go a long way. Then, apart from that, you also need to have in your record the pattern of feeding, the daily feeding. If they are winners, you know the quantity of feed you give per day. On the 1st of March, so and so quantity was given for 10 piglets in this place. You will record it. And of course, before you give, you will have something that you use in weighing their feed, so that you know that for 10 piglets, I'm giving such and such quantity of feed per day over the next 3 weeks. So for each day within that week, you record it. If in that pen you have any mortality, you will also indicate that, okay, mortality 1 or 2 died today. You will indicate all this in your record. If there is any form of medication, this is important. If, for instance, your plan is to do deworming once in 2 to 3 months, you can easily check from your records the last time you dewormed them. If you don't have something to indicate it, you will miss that opportunity to know the right time to redeworm them. Then some other information like some management operations, maybe castration, removal of the needle teeth, all these things you will have a place on your record where you indicate them for each of those pens, so that anybody who comes here will know, okay, this is what has happened and this is what they will be doing next. Then another very important thing is that if you have your maternity section, prior to that, you know when the pigs, the sows were on heat, you will note the date that they were crossed by the boars. Then you will now estimate the expected farrowing date. So all the pigs that are pregnant, you will put them in the maternity section. Those in the first pen, second pen, you know their expected farrowing date. So that towards that period, if you have a farrowing cage, maybe like a week or two to the expected period of farrowing, you can move them into the farrowing crate. And I gave you two advantages of using the farrowing crate. One, you are going to have less issues of cannibalism, which is a loss. Secondly, you will not have a situation where the sow will now sleep on the piglets, resulting in sudden mortality. So these are some of the basic things you need to have in your record. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dotson. Mr. Olatunde, please kindly come forward.
Thank you very much. I have a question here. Yes, you will get soft copies of the presentation because I had very little time. So you will get that for sure. I am available for one-on-ones because there is so many things. There are lots of things to discuss. So half an hour is not enough. So I'm available. Whoever wants can get in touch with me, and I will gladly relate information. We can do some information interchange. Yeah, this is another one. Yeah, someone else asked about the availability of our animals in Nigeria. That was what I tried to explain earlier. I don't know if I was understood or not. We don't just want to sell animals into the country. We want to bring in animals, and we want to develop partnerships. So we will want to have multipliers in the country that will be directly linked to France. So this is how we work. We want genetic improvement. We want to build something very, very solid in the country. So I will be around for as long as you want for one-on-ones, please. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Olatunde. Hadoye, please come forward.
Hello. Someone asked about the capacity of the box that can power 2 horsepower pumping machine and 3 horsepower. Because 4,000 euros. The solar power box. What? That's the price stuff. Who asked this question? Am I supposed to ask this? And what is the cost of the solar to power 1 horsepower? You see the same power box mini can do that. Monthly, we'll have to sit down and calculate that together for the monthly fee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Dolapo.
Good evening once again, gentlemen. I have a number of questions here. The first question, what are the ideal methods of controlling heat, especially in a semi-automated house? A semi-automated house, I want to assume this is poultry. Could be broiler, could be layers. There are so many ways. There's no particular way of doing it because there are so many factors involved. The first most important thing is the orientation of your pen. We know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So the first thing you want to do is to ensure that your poultry house is along the east-west orientation. So that when the sun is rising in the morning, only a small aspect of your poultry house, whether layers or broilers or even pig, is hit with the sun. And then when it is setting in the evening, only a small section is being hit by the sun. That is one thing. So fundamentally, as you are building your poultry house or pig house, you need to consider that. Another factor is stocking density. If you are stocking your layers, ensure that you follow the manufacturer's instruction. We have had people that have bought some funny cages from some funny Asian countries. A typical Chinese company will tell you, put 5 birds in a cell. But what some farmers do not know is that the breed of birds in China, they are small breeds. The typical layer in Nigeria typically weighs between 1.5 to 1.8 kilograms. Layers. And a typical layer in China weighs between 1.2 and 1.4. Now, because of that, you cannot stock 5 layers in the same cage that came from China. The best you can do is 3. So when you are buying your cage, buy from a reputable source and follow the manufacturer's instruction. And if you are buying a cage from a source that is not tropicalized, adapt based on the tropical condition. For broilers, if you are running an open house system, do not stock more than 10 to 12 broilers per square meter open house. For birds that you will sell at 2 kilogram body weight. For open house, I typically tell farmers stick to 10 birds per square meter for open house. For closed house, you can stock as much as 18 birds per square meter because you have a climate control environment. Please, let us not exceed these stocking densities because it will affect our birds. The birds will have challenges managing their body temperature. Apart from this, when we are feeding our broilers, especially broilers, and you are using high energy feed, let us ensure that we feed them majority of what they will eat at the cooler part of the day. So that, because they generate heat while consuming the feed and when digesting the feed. So if you feed them high energy feed during the period of heat stress, there's a very high tendency that you will lose a lot of birds to heat stress. The same thing for layers. When you notice that the temperature in the environment is beginning to get very high towards the heat stress periods, let us ensure that we feed them as early as possible, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You provide light. Then, my next question, another thing you can also do is that you can provide anti-stress, something like vitamin C. Vitamin C is very, very good. Antioxidants. There are so many antioxidants. Another thing is that because they are losing a lot of electrolytes during heat stress, you can provide electrolytes too. Now, somebody asked a question about lighting system. Another thing you can also do for heat stress management is heat extraction fans and heat recirculatory fans. So you can install fans in your broiler or layer house. For lighting, the reason why we always advise that you provide additional 4 hours of light. Number 1, the additional number of hours of light ensures that if there's any feed in the feed pan, they can finish it. It also photo-stimulates them. We always advise that you provide extra 4 hours of light between 7 o'clock and maybe 10 and 11 o'clock. It helps the layers. For broilers that are doing ad libitum, we always advise give them light 24 hours. If you are doing ad libitum, the earlier your broiler reaches your target weight, the better for you. If your broilers reaches 2 kg body weight and that is your target, in 28 days, you don't need to keep them extra number of days. You sell them off. Now, the use of antibiotics is in layer farm. Should it be forbidden or used occasionally? The use of antibiotics in the layer farm is something I only advise farmers to use antibiotics when your birds are sick. The reason why I'm saying this is that the world is getting to a point that everybody is getting sensitized about antimicrobial resistance. There was a particular farmer that I was very close to at the time. He was always using antibiotics, always using antibiotics. He did not know that he was going to pay in another way. What happened to him was that, farmers, he has broiler farm, he has a layer farm. He consumes meat and egg from his farm. His son had appendicitis and they had to do surgery. And they did the surgery. Normally, everything went well. After surgery, they will give you antibiotics. And they kept using antibiotics. It was not working. The wound site of the surgery broke down. Pus was coming out. It was at that point that the man now said, doctor, wala wow, kila mashibai. The medical doctor did not know what to do because they had used different kinds of antibiotics. They used the high-level antibiotics. It was not working. So when I went to the farm, I met the woman crying, said, what do we do? And I told her that, ma, what is the problem? She told me what the problem was. And I told her that, do you consume egg and meat from your farm? She said, yes. So I said, no problem. And at that particular time, she had birds that were dying. So we collected carcass of those birds. We took it to the lab, a veterinary lab. The lab did an antimicrobial sensitivity test. We realized that the birds, the particular disease that those birds have was sensitive to gentamicin, as simple as gentamicin. So I now told her that let them inform the lab, the hospital, human hospital, that they should do a culture and sensitivity. Lo and behold, the infection that boy had was also sensitive to gentamicin. Which means all the antibiotics they were giving the birds in the meat and in the egg, the boy was consuming it. So naturally, the normal flora within the body of that boy also developed resistance to all the antibiotics they have abused. So this is the reason why I always advise farmers, unless your birds are sick, you do not need to use antibiotics. And this is the reason why bird doctors are always promoting using vaccine. Almost all poultry vaccines today have vaccines. So as much as possible, reach out to animal scientists, reach out to veterinary doctors, professionals, so that they can advise you on proper vaccination. And if you are going to use antibiotics, ensure that somebody does a postmortem on your farm, if possible, culture and sensitivity, so that you only need to use a particular antibiotics, not a broad spectrum antibiotics. But Nigeria, we abuse antibiotics. We have a single antibiotics containing 2, 3, 4, 5, which we don't need. Okay. After observing necessary vaccination in a poultry farm, is there any way of preventing archery problem? This particular person is asking, maybe the person got some new birds and the birds are dying. Typically, when a farmer stocks day-old chicks and the birds are dying within the first week, what comes to our mind is that it is an archery problem. At the level of the farmer, there's very limited things that you can do, but there's also something you can do. The idea behind archery problem stems from the fact that you need to, the typical thing is that farmers are supposed to trust the archery to do the right thing, to have proper sanitation, proper hygiene. I know some archeries in this country that when they give you day-old chicks, they can tell you, don't start your birds on antibiotics because they have done the right thing. But many times, because we are not sure of the hygiene status of the archery, farmers start brooding with antibiotics. Now, when issues come from the archery, there are some things that you see. 24 hours mortality, first day mortality, first week mortality. A lot of times when problems come from the archery, they might either be salmonella, pullorum disease, sometimes aspergillus, which is fungal disease. What you can do to manage that is for you to send your birds, some of them to the lab, let them take samples, then they will advise you on what to do. That is the best thing you can do to manage that. The last thing I would like to discuss here. Somebody said, I would like you to explain one-way passage in a farm and how it can also affect the spread of disease in a farm. Must there always be another way passage out of a farm for good biosecurity? I believe this person is talking about moving from the clean side to the dirty side in a farm, and then from there going outside. Many times we always advise our farmers, always have an entrance and an exit to your farm. Because if somebody is coming to your farm and he has not been to any other farm, there's a high tendency that he's not bringing any infection to your farm. So if the person comes through your farm and he moves from the young flock to the old flock, and if that old flock is harboring any particular disease, it would be nice for the person to go out through the back door, so that it doesn't need to go through the old poultry house again or the old poultry farm. So that is how you do driving or walking through the farm in one way. But many times, most farmers only have one entrance and one exit. So, but as much as possible, one of the ways in which you can manage that is you might not need to do 2 gates, but ensure that you build from the youngest flock to the oldest flock so that you can minimize the spread of disease. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dolapo. Thank you very much, Dr. Dotun. And I have one information that is going to benefit all of us, and it's about finance. There is a scheme that we have in Big Dutchman to ease farmers of expanding or establishing their farms. Most time people say, look, I want to expand, but I do not have enough money. We have what we call equipment financing, which allows you to make a kind of a down payment for what you want to have. Then the remaining money, you can spread it over time. And we are trusting you with our money that you're going to do the right thing. If you want to know more about that, you can always contact us, and we'd like to share more with you on that. In closing, I would like to invite Professor Adeshenyiwa to give us the closing remark. Please join me as we welcome Professor Adeshenyiwa.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mo kí bàbá àti àwọn màmá tó wà láàrin wa. A dẹ̀ fẹ́ bẹ̀ yín pé kẹ́ ẹ fi eléyìí náà ṣọwọ́ sáwọn tó ti lọ. I want to appreciate Big Dutchman for sustaining this training. For the few of us that are left in the hall, how many of us drive our cars, or you know how to drive? Can I see your hands up? Okay, thank you very much. How many of us went for training before starting to drive? Thank you very much. From the hands that are raised, it's very obvious that it's not even up to 50% of those of us that can drive or we have a car that actually went for training before we started to drive. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nínú wa kí la ṣe? Learning on the, don't worry. For those of us that are young or older than myself, you know what I mean. What is the most expensive car now? I will plead with you for the people like Dr. Dolapo, Tokpe, Moses. They know the most expensive cars. Please, go tell them to help you buy one or ship one in through Big Dutchman. You don't need to learn how to drive. Just start to drive it that same day. And then you will know where your resources is actually going. This is a pointer to something. What year did you start this? I don't want to say what year did we start this training. 2018. Okay? If if they say 2017, that means they've been benefiting from you since 2017. Inú mi dùn páwa gan lè jẹ́rìí pé a ti ń jẹ àǹfààní yẹn láti 2017. Why? There is one thing that is fundamentally faulty in Nigeria. We don't like to be trained for anything. We believe we have what Oyinbo is called Ogboju. Oyinbo calls it what? Ogboju. You have not learnt about poultry farming. You have not learnt about pig farming, but you just believe Dolapo has a farm of breeders, 1,000. Tope has a farm for pigs, 100 pigs. Dolapo, emi mo ran law school now. Tope, emi mo nbo now. I can start a farm of 100,000 breeders, and then I can start 20,000 pigs because I have the money. I'm not even going to buy from Nigeria. I'm going to ship in. Where is one man that I want to accuse and I accuse every day? Dr. Ayoniku. I'm mentioning his name publicly because he's ready to help you ship in. And I'm happy to meet my brother. Where is he? The man from France. Yeah. Thank you. We'll talk later. It is not in the finance, the money that you have. It is in first learning. And that's why I want to appreciate this organization. The time may be too short for us to say we have a proper training, but we can get across to them at any point in time to act. But do you know what is? I'm angry about something. Dolapo, Moses, Tope, aside the others, I think they know this. What am I angry about? There are some of us here, I believe they are already gone. Do you know what they did? From lecture 1, 2, 3, I think it became 4 instead of 3. They recorded everything. For me, I'm not on the PAN platform, but I'm on some PFAN platform. You will see them, they will advertise training tomorrow. And they become a trainer of what they never knew how to do. And some of us, is anyone from Okearo here? They are gone. Okay. Beribe. Okay. Pifan in Ogun State here. Thank you. The problem is, for those people from Okearo, if you are not putting on this shirt, showing that you are related to Big Dutchman, can you tell me the number of doctors on Okearo Pig Farm? Can you count them? Don't count this one because he doesn't have a certificate. You will see so many people who never went beyond secondary school. They call themselves vet doctors. They are animal scientists. They can formulate feed. They can do everything. Please, I'm speaking, I'm one of you. Remove the toga of anything behind my name. My name is Akin Adeseyiwa. I speak Yoruba fluently. I may not understand French, but I can tell you, if we want to improve what gets to our pockets, all that we have been told, gbogbo nǹkan tó ń sọ fún wa lénìí, tá a bá mú lò, ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbi ká kọ́ra wa. I jotted something and I said I was going to mention it. And Mr. from France talked about good breed. Maybe he or somebody else talked about good feeding, good biosecurity, Dolapo, good training, need for marketing, need for processing. Because if we have a market that we can easily sell to, would you allow the worry wolves, worry warriors Would you allow them on your farm? Then if this training will extend to the level pé wọ́n kọ́ wa pé okay tá bá pẹran yẹn tá bá pín sí àtàn ata orí ata ẹsẹ̀ ìfun, or it is our poultry, we do all those things, and then we can process by cutting into various parts, and we can supply directly to ShopRite or any marketing outlets, or you can further process into baking frankfurter sausages. Why won't you produce what you will be able to use for your production? And when you cannot get enough, what do? You now assemble from other farms. I was telling the young man, I'm the young man now, he's the old man. The old man that came with me here, when we were on our way, I used to know of one Femina Farms in Lagos. And I told him the story. I said, I never had a farm, nor a marketing or processing outlet, but I was engaged in pig production, and I bought my first car. How? There was Chief Ogunaike of farms in Ogun State as well as Oyo State. All I needed was I had a partnership with a pickup owner, the regular pickup owner with round lights. It will only carry 4 to 5 pigs at most. You will know the size of that pig. 250, 300. But nothing less than 150, 200 kg. And when I put them, I take it to Femina Farms in Olowora, which was owned by late Chief Oguyemi, who retired from Afribank. And what was this man into? He was initially into poultry farm. He converted it to pig farm, and then later was not producing anything. What was he doing? He was the major supplier, Ecola, Meridian, all the hotels, Sheraton in Lagos and Abuja then, of what? Of all the products, baking, frankfurter, sausage, anything. And he was the one producing it. So he would just order for the pigs. I will supply. I didn't have a farm, but on trust, supply. The next supply, before I will make the second supply, this money for this was ready. I will use it to pay here again, move another set of pigs. Just in between, that is, there is a value chain which I was engaged in. Maybe some of us are not supposed to be in production. Maybe we are just supposed to be in market sourcing. But today, every one of us, we are into production and we are not doing the right thing. And there is one thing, there was a question, our friend from France, I'm happy he answers a Yoruba name. So we can identify with him. It's not a French. He might be as a dual citizen, on dual citizenship status. But please, what do I want to bring out? If I have not spoken the way I've spoken now, if this all were to be filled, if I asked for how many breeders do we have, please let me still ask, how many pig breeders do we have in the hall? How many? Abba. How many? 1, 2, 3. Am I correct, Mr. Moses? Are there 3 that we have raising their hand? Oh, 4. Thank you very much, sir. If I must ask you honest questions, we are not fighting and we are not quarreling. Did you graduate learning breeding and genetics? Did you go for any training on breeding and genetics as it concerns poultry or pigs? Have you worked in an establishment that was engaged in breeding and genetics? But what are we engaged in, sir? You finished from UI. Yes, I know you. Is that not so? Ṣebí Professor Ngere ló supervise ní breeding and genetics. Àwọn FUNAB náà ti ṣe tán, Professor Ikeobi. Àwọn tó wà níbí, Professor Ozoje ní FUNAB. Àbí? How did you become a breeder? What do you know about M3? What do you know about M6? What technology was he talking about with respect to M3 and M6 to bring about CG? Hello? Hello? I want us to go home with this. For those of us that are engaged in pig production. You know, this is large white. This is land race. What is the result? You can see these two arrows. Abi? It is the cross between this and this that he told us would give us this. Am I right, sir? Sorry, my teeth, they are not white. What do we call our own in Nigeria when you cross land race and large white? Kamboro. Kamboro breed. Where did we read or studied that we were told that Kamboro is a breed? I'm talking to you authoritatively. Challenge me. I didn't go to school, but I'm a farmer. We are doing so many things. Don't let us confuse ourselves. Truly, it is an hybrid. You can call it any name. We can even call it top door, door top. We can give it any name. So I'm pleading with us, those of us that have invested our money into poultry or into pig, don't let us allow quacks to control us. For those of us that are here, the only message I want you to go with is that you and myself, as the one that owns the farm, what should we do? Are we not farm owners? Are we farm owners? Let us ensure that we go home and train ourselves. We should not allow our farm ants, the workers on the farm, to be the ones dictating how we should do it. Poultry is a profitable business. Pig is a profitable business if you engage rightly in it. But majority of the problems we have revolve around the workers we have. I can authoritatively tell you, Okearo that some of us are working with, I've slept in Okearo for days to collect data inside Okearo. And your workers, you collected loan to buy pigs. You retired already. But the farm hand that you engage will take your feed, because this man, you were not there when this man engaged him. He will take your shovel, your pail, your feed, go and feed the animals. He's now a contractor to this man, but he's your worker. Your boot, your overall, almost different. You know, there are numbered. There are streets in Okearo. If we can solve this problem, and that's why today I encourage every pig farmer here, if you have opportunity of buying your land, of relocating your farm somewhere, I am one advocate that is preaching. I was part of Okearo. I started Berigbe when Okearo was full. I wrote a letter recommending to government to start Berigbe. When they were to convert it to housing estate, God helped me to be able to prevail on them not to be converted to. I did that. I knew my position, the position I was occupying then, to Lagos. So I'm begging us, go to Ogbomosho. Whenever anything strikes, just like Okearo, in Ogbomosho now, there are different clusters. It goes around like a wildfire. So let's desist from this cluster thing, which Dr. Dolapo has spoken to, and let us also desist from something. What is that thing? whatever you don't know, speak to anybody in Big Dutchman. They will find a solution, get you a vet, get you an animal scientist, get you a breeder that can. But the idea of us turning ourselves to what we are not, or allowing some people to sell some, what do I call them? Junk. Did you call it junks? I don't know what to call them. They will just tell you they are improved breeds. Mongrel. Yes, they will sell mongrel to you. And what did that man say? The man from France, I think he already is familiar with us. He said, feed them for... Sir, the only thing I can say to what you said, to show that maybe I know a little more than you know, because that's the attitude of an average Nigerian, I know better than you, is that for 1.5 years, the animal will not be more than 60 kg. You will be feeding and they will tell you it's an improved breed. So God will help us. Thank you.
Please, let's put us together one more time for Professor Adeshenywa. Thank you very much. We want to appreciate everyone for being here today, and we appreciate your patience. We are closing now, but the interaction is not stopping here. We are still available to interact with you after now. I would like to invite Mrs. Please, the owner of the Camry MAK 392 XX, please kindly go and repack.
Thank you very much. We thank Almighty God for making us come to the end of this program. We pray that everything that we have learned is going to be beneficial to us, and it will help us to improve our farms in one way or the other positively. And I also pray that as we are going home, each and every one of us will get to a different destination in peace and not in pieces. And we continue to move, and our business will continue to improve as we have wished positively. May Almighty Allah continue to be with each and every one of us and go with us as we go to our different destination. For those of us that can recite, you can recite Al-Fatiha with me. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. May God be with every one of us.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone. Thank you. And we'll see you next time on our seminar. Please, we would like to have a group picture with those of us who are still around. Please, let's just come forward.